This is William K. Murtaugh, Mark Witness 1, and welcome to Super Bowl Sunday. And no, I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm not a football fan, so to speak. I am rooting for the Bucs simply because it's a Florida team, but other than that, I'm just not interested in sports all that much. No, I'm going to talk about something that I saw on Facebook today. And what I saw was a common and rather forthright Bible quote. And this is the Bible quote. Basically be kind to strangers, invite strangers into your home, and so on. And at the bottom of the quote is 5 words. Now, this happens to be, believe it or not, a philosophy that I live by. And I actually agree with the person that posted this in this one instance. That we all should be kind to each other. I try to be kind to everybody. But things have happened over the past decade that have made that rather difficult, if not impossible. And twice, my live streams have paid for it. The first instance was my live stream back at the beginning of the decade, 2010, 2011, so on and so forth. Actually began around 2006, but it got worse as we got into the new decade and moved forward from there. Because people were not being kind. They were being mean, cruel, and vicious. They were spreading lies. They were doing all kinds of unkind things. And that, unfortunately, changed me for the worse. I am not that person that I was back in 2006. And I'm not even the person I was back in 2010. And someone came on my chat and reminded me of that. They told me, you have changed, and not for the better. And the person also was angry at me because I now appear to be supporting and being kind towards my former enemies. And I tried to explain why. I said, yes, there were serious disagreements back in those days that brought us together. But over time, as we knew each other better and knew some of the things that were going in the background, we began to understand that we could be good friends and still disagree with each other. Now, there were things done by the people that are now my friends that I didn't like and still don't like. And I haven't excused them for it. But I also understood that there are qualities in these people that I can like. That they are good people. They got swept up in things that may have brought out their bad sides. I know there are circumstances that have brought out my bad side. We're human. We're going to be affected by our environment. And so we weren't kind. And we paid the price for it. But now we are kind to each other. We respect each other. We respect our commonalities and we respect our differences. I've said many a time on this channel that there are people that I disagree with vehemently politically, and they disagree with me vehemently politically. But we are kind to each other because we have things in common. We have our humanity in common. Yes, we had our enemies in common, but we also have our friends in common, things we can agree on in common. So we can be kind to each other despite our differences. Now it says this is why I agree with this woman's statement. However, my question to this woman directly is, why can't you practice what you preach? Because you have not been kind. You have not followed the Bible quote from Matthew. You've done quite the opposite. You've been very unkind. In fact, you've been hateful. You've been evil. You've told lies. You've denigrated people. You've ruined people. How is that kind? See, this is something that I've always had an issue with those that preach the Bible. I'm not against the Bible. I agree with the Bible in a lot of things. You know, I believe in the 10 Commandments. And I believe in being kind towards strangers. The Bible has a lot of good. The problem is those people that study the Bible and then preach the Bible don't practice the teaching. They do just the opposite. And they do it in God's name, which is rather strange because God is not like the people that are out there right now. God is for truth. God is for kindness. And this is what makes trying to follow religious doctrine so confusing, is people that swear they're Christians or swear their belief in God engage in activities that are the polar opposite of what's in the Bible. You know, my suggestion for this woman and others like her that profess that people should be kind to each other might want to examine what they've been putting on the internet for the last decade and a half. Some people have been putting things up there for the past 3 or 4 years. Other people have been putting stuff up there for over a decade. Study these things and tell me how posting that kind of stuff and making those personal attacks against people are being kind to them. Accusing people of drinking the blood of babies, of extracting chemicals out of babies, about having satanic rituals where you kill babies and sacrifice them and do all this weird stuff that you know is not true. How is that being kind? I don't understand that. I don't understand how anyone who would say these things falsely about people would think that if they simply say be kind to each other is going to give them credibility when it's not. Because their past is the beacon that we follow the light of. Your actions over the years have proven that you are not kind to people. You're just the opposite. You're one of the most hateful persons I've ever seen on the internet. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot change, that you can start following your own advice and start being kind to each other. And then it means including your enemies. Because that's in the Bible too. That you need to be kind to your enemies. And in fact, there shouldn't be any enemies. Because life is short. We're only here for a short while in the course of human events. All this infighting that we do, all this gaslighting of each other and so on and so forth, it's going to be gone. We're going to be forgotten. People are going to move on. There's going to be other things to complain about. And so all this hate, discourse, and unkindness is a waste of time. It will have been a waste of time. We will have wasted hours upon hours upon hours of our lives not being kind to each other. And that's what's sad about all this. And I recognized that when that person came in there, into my chat, and told me that I had changed and I had gotten worse. And they didn't recognize that person that they had met on the internet less than a decade ago. And that's one of the reasons I did not have a live stream last night. Because it is true. The live stream has taken a negative tone for quite a long time. I was going down the same rabbit hole I went down in 2011, when all I was doing was complaining about the haters. It ruined the live streams. People went away. They got turned off, and I eventually shut it down. Now, I don't intend to shut down the live stream this time. I just took a break from it. I've got things I want to start talking about that have nothing to do with the subjects of the past. Because I think in this instance, it's getting to a point where we're beating a dead horse. It is likely that the primary subject of our discourse over the past few months is no longer upon the living. If he's still living, he's irrelevant because he's gone away. He himself is retired. Or maybe he's basically concentrating on a hate website over on BitChute. But at any rate, he's become marginalized. The person behind this particular quote that I'm talking about today has become marginalized. She's in her own little world. Maybe something has happened that made her realize that maybe she should start being kind to others. Time will tell if she's going to practice what she preaches there. But, like I have tried to do many times before, is I am going to try and get away from the negativity that's been happening on this channel, both in my mobile-thons and in my live streams. Because that's not the direction that I want this channel to go. I want this channel to be a place that we can all come and discuss things that we are interested in. Good things. Maybe have good spirited debate about the things on which we agree, but we can be kind to each other in that process. We can agree to disagree, advocate our points if this is what we want to do, but in the end we're going to shake hands, have a drink, and go home until we meet again. That's the way it should be. It's the way it's always been. I was part of one of the largest private roundtable groups in the United States back in 2005, and even earlier than that. But it was a private group. We had very strict rules on how we would conduct ourselves with each other. And we abided by them. And we were able to have heated debate, heated disagreements, and yet we could shake hands and go home and come back another day to argue again as friends who were strong advocates towards those things we believe in. And believe you me, life is a lot easier when you can do that. And that's what I would like to return to. Now, over the next several weeks, I am going to start talking more and more about Percy. And tomorrow, I'm going to introduce you to Percy. I've talked about Percy before, but only briefly. But tomorrow, on my next Mobile-thon, I'm going to introduce you to Percy. Because we're going to be talking about Percy for the next 10 or 11 days, and probably beyond. And so until that time, please like, subscribe, and share. And hit that notification icon. And see if this channel can change for the better. In the meantime, this is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one. Good one. Boy, I messed that one up. Bye-bye.